Now I'll give the floor to Miss Aslı Karabulut, who's going to talk about being player focused. Hello, Aslı. Hello. I would like to share my screen first. I hope everyone can see it, right? Yes. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Today, I will talk about this player-focused system, starting with the design to its launching. Before I start with my presentation, I'd like to talk about myself. I started working in 2013 in Rovio as a social media manager, and then I worked on the marketing side and the product side. On 2015, we had global games, and I was the product manager, and I just worked as a manager in different departments. After that, Netmarkle adventure just ended, and so I am so we have processes and we have this focus on the games and the gaming. So let me talk about what does it mean to be a player, actually gamer focused. Please just as well deliver actually your questions. Well, I'll talk about now this concept of being a gamer focused. We are just thinking about so we are talking about actually this approach, and we are actually putting the gamers on the very center, and we are just creating a great synergy. And it's really important to create a team, and everyone will be the part of the whole team. And as well, we have a game team, and it's really important for them to just be part of that. Before I talk about gamer-focused business processes, let me talk about how to define the players. Well, let's talk about now the definition of the gamer. Interactive games, including the video games, and as well desktop games and card games are played by the gamers, and they do it for a long time. Each gamer, well, all of them, are they our target audience or not? No, unfortunately not, because you are making some certain analysis and investigations, and you are looking for actually a certain group that are willing to play your game. And while defining the target audience, you get benefit of different specifications and features of gamers. Let me give an example. Majority of people who are playing puzzle are women that are older, 35 years old. Mostly they live in the United States. So is it enough, this definition? Unfortunately not. It's really important to know their areas of interest, other games that they are playing, their motivations. It's really important to also answer such questions. And in this actually moment, we admit the concept of persona. We have ideal customer profile, and for persona, it is called a process of analysis. It is actually identity card. When we say persona, it means that it is identity card. First, you have to profile your maybe competitors, gamers. It is really important to just create and set up a profile for them. You can maybe ask some certain questions, and this is how you prepare the identity card. And the more you have just gamers in your pool, a better profile you can also create for your own actually gamers, and you can have more than one identity card. And as well, these cards might include such information, name, for example. Well, just give yourself a nickname and make it really actually suitable for persona. For example, the nickname is Hassan. Also, maybe a sentence of the persona, demographic information. This is how we start, such as age, gender, civil situation, and also you can maybe create a bio because it will include actually a lot of information. Let me give you an example. Just a person who likes to enjoy PC games with the friends. However, the mobile games, as it takes a lot of time, consumes a lot of times, there wouldn't any time left for the PC. Well, there are as well objectives of playing the game, such as winning all the games. It might be an objective. Some people might go forward slowly, or maybe they wouldn't like the in-game purchases. So social habits, their general ideas, if they like to play alone or with a group, their routines, do they play the game exactly the same hour every day? Do they play it at the bus, for example, or at work during their breaks? So, well, these are the identity cards of a gamer, and this card includes such information as well, including the gamer's motivation. It's going to be great. Well, when we say motivations of the gamer, you would see there are a lot of different motivation actually works. The Quantum Foundry is just one of them. Let me show it to you. As you may see, there are 6, well, a total 12 motivations. Let me give you an example. So here you would see the gamer motivation model, action, social mastery, immersion and creativity. Well, here you would see that, for example, if it is distraction, there would be some actually arms. And here we try to understand their motivations. And this is how we maybe shape our games according to the motivations of the gamer. Even in the very first step, if the game design, we organize a motivation workshop and we rank the motivations according to their importance, and we actually maybe focus on the top 4, and this is how we make our marketing strategy. And when we enlarge the pool according to the results of the investigations, we can review and revise our maybe a methodology, and we can maybe add some additional modes to our games. Before I step into the second part, let me check out if there is any question. Let me look if there is a question about the first part. Well, we will have a question and answers round in the end of the presentation. Okay, we can maybe receive the questions meanwhile. Okay, great. In this part, we will talk about the idea of a game and its journey from idea to the launching. It is really important to focus on the gamer in that moment, and I'll talk about this whole journey. Well, here you would see the terminology in the sector. Actually, mostly we use the terms in English. Let's start with concept first. This is the idea part. You might say that I have a brilliant idea, and you have maybe prepared actually a design document. So you have to tell us what's your core motivation, what's your business model, what are your plans for to make money. And maybe you can think of a hybrid model or a subscription model. So you need to develop such ideas in the concept part, and then you will continue with the prototyping and the market test. Well, you need to prepare a prototype. and you need to test it on the Stadia, and you receive a great feedback, and you enjoy playing the game, then you can continue with the process. You continue with the pre-production phase. This is before the development actually phase. We can maybe think pre-production and production processes together, generally because people go forward with their production. However, pre-production is the part that we really clarify the framework of the game, and as well, we just prepare a calendar, and we somehow form the latest version of the game. And then we continue with the phase of production. And we develop the contents of the game, and we work on the business model, and before launching we actually make it as perfect as possible. And it is really important to follow metrics of the game. It is really important to integrate the ideas, and this is where we do the whole preparation. And then comes a soft launch. It is really important to look at the KPIs and success metrics, and you define these metrics and you work on them. You do some improvements actually for the soft launch, and then you go for the global launch. Global launch is the area that you control the KPIs. And if they are in the desired level, it means that you can open it to the world. And if you are to make a localization, you have to set also the languages. You have to actually integrate the languages into it together with the marketing team. You can maybe prepare a marketing plan. You prepare everything together, and then you actually somehow launch it, publish it. So this is the process. You can just follow the steps. How about the gamers? If we are to include the gamers into this process, what could we do more? Now let's have a look at it a little bit. On the concept side, it's really important to understand the market. If you are to make maybe a puzzle, it is really important to think about the market size. You need to just set the trends and opportunities, and you have to talk and think about how to be different. Well, these are all going to shape actually our situation. And by the way, your market research, your competitor analysis, and as well the value proposition of your game shall all be ready. Value proposition means that on the head of the potential customers, you just position your game. This is the meaning of this term called value proposition. So it's really important to just try to understand your target audience. People who play this game. And your benefit to them. You actually try to summarize it in general. You can also think of the whole situation. What would be the benefit to the other actually people? When you complete all these steps, it means that you are ready for the next step, which is prototype and market test. For the prototype phase, you can test the value proposition of the game. You can use the test of marketable. Target audience, would they be willing to play your game or not? You're trying to get this actually question. And also you can test if your team or your value proposal are in coherence with the whole situation or not. Well, if you have a prototype, even let it be ugly, a prototype that's not being polished, still you can test the mechanic of it. You can do it with your team members, or you can use the user test database, so you can just do it together with other gamers during the test and after the test, by maybe asking some specific questions to your target audience. You can get and collect their ideas. On the phase of a prototype, the more questions you ask, the better it will be to shape your game. So I would just suggest that it is one of the most important parts for the game development. According to the results of this business model, you can shape and form your ideas, and you can make your idea more suitable for the market, and you can retest any change that you do. And after a few alterations, if you do not observe any improvement, then it might mean that your idea maybe is not that good, and you may need to kill the idea. You need to be open for that. I know that it is not that easy. However, if you advance in the process, and if you have to cancel it afterwards, the problem would be bigger. So let's say that the test results are all positive and you are sure that you are on the correct track, and you have developed your prototype and you have a prototype in hand. Well, you can make actually a short market test by uploading your game to the some apps. You can get maybe some limited numbers of gamers, and you can just check out the retention number. And by preparing some advertisements, you can also test the marketability of your game. Also, your tests and analysis would just give you information about the areas that you're on the correct road and correct place, or it will give you actually some information about the changes to be made. So it is really important to be focused on the gamers in the initial phase. I guess there is a question. Is that right? Do we have a question? Yes. For the market research, so, well, would it be enough if we do it ourselves, or should we get a professional support? A publisher, would they help or not? Professional market research company, if it is really costly for indie developers to work with a professional market research company. Well, maybe you can hire internally someone who will do it, but it is also costly. So you can do all the research yourself. They wouldn't be maybe that deep, and the sources might be really limited. So I can maybe suggest a few things. One of them is just reach out, access to the people you know, and ask questions to them. Well, if you cannot really access to them, or if you cannot really get any support, there are a lot of websites and sources that you can read. Most of them are in foreign languages, but they are translatable. There are a lot of pools for that. Also, there are research, limited research. The method that I might suggest is a coffee shop that you go. Make a person play your game. The more your friends play it, more feedbacks you will get out of it. So you can actually do the tests yourselves. So you can just use a lot of methods for free. So it is really good if you can access it to more people. So you cannot be that objective yourself. It is really important to get feedback from people. So this is the recommendation that I can give. Should I continue? Yes, you can continue, please. You can access to me, by the way. You can find me in LinkedIn for your further questions. So now let me continue about pre-production phase. Marketing team might test as well the art part of the game. Maybe you have a cartoony style. You can test if the target audience would like it or not. You can make some certain measurements. Your style might be anime style or a realistic style. So you can make the A/B tests for the target audience. You can try to understand if it is interesting enough for the target audience. You can prepare some market visuals from the Google, and you can use some tools there. Marketing team works together with the game design team, and they try to test if the game is good for the target audience. Any test that you will do in this phase should be developed at the best way that you can do, and you can clarify the last version of the game. And by the way, this phase is managed together with other phases. The more tests you make, well, you will have the opportunity of clarifying a lot of things, and you will just understand if your game is suitable for the market. This is how you make the design. Production phase. Starting from idea to launching. Of course, you just go through step by step all the segmentations, and you prepare the marketing strategy, and you start the whole job by defining the product, and you just plan on your positioning and your target audience, and as well you write down your messages. You have a visual strategy, and as well you just set the emotions and the motivations for the gamers, and you can maybe question if your visuals are fun or not. Which strategy you will underline, such as the social motivation or power. As well, you have to decide on which marketing actually devices or tools to use. It is really important to select the correct one. Development process and phases just go forward by answering such questions. This is the production phase. Any tests and researches that we do from the point of ideation up until the production, all the steps and the phases just tell us some hints about the soft launch, and as well the positioning of the game on the soft launch, and gives us some hints about how to market our game to the gamers. So it's really important to take each step without skipping one. Let me continue now with soft launch. We can touch upon gamers. Well, for example, there are tickets that are received by the client services or social media communities. That it might actually be organic or inorganic. These social media communities, it doesn't matter. It's really important to monitor the gamers and listen to them. Listening is important because they can maybe give you some tricks about the things that you have missed. They can really catch out some important issues. So that's why it's really important to get benefit of such channels. And also you can maybe carry out some surveys. Do not hesitate to ask a question to your gamers. You can do it via social media, or you can maybe add a pop-up, in-game pop-up, so that you can directly ask the questions to the gamers. So touch upon users, gamers, because it will help you to improve your game. You can make it special for your actually gamers. Even if your game is live, well, what could you do? you might have a separate, for example, content. Then you can maybe do a user test and together with your actually friends, based on your strategies and your budget, you can just test the mottos. In addition to that, before the global launch, you can do App Store optimization, user acquisition performance tests. The purpose is to get the best actually performance rates and improve the performances. And on this step, we have a go-to-market plan that you have to prepare. So that for the global launch, you should know to clarify your message as well. The last step is global launch. So you open your game to the whole world, but your job is not enough. Even it starts just right away. You have to actually collect instincts, and you have to develop your game accordingly. You have to optimize anything. And also you can as well apply to feature for your actually further steps. You can follow your metrics. You can improve the performance of your game because you question what to do more. And up until this phase, anything that you do, well, yes, it focuses on the gamer, and well, it is helping you out to develop your game. However, right after launching the game, you have to continue with these all transactions so that your game will be actually long life shelved. So there are a lot of methods. I've talked about the marketable test, the test of marketing. Well, do you have another question up until now? Please just tell me. Well, there is a question asked, what is the coherency of ASO? Well, it is the ASO optimization. Search tool optimization is done for the application page. So what you do is you have an application page, you have your keywords, and you have a place for the research results, and you're trying to optimize them all. Also, you have target audience. It's really important to question if you satisfy it or not. You can test as well your icons. So there are different icons, and there is this it's really important to just test out the conversion rate. So when I say conversion rate, what do I mean is that would be actually enough effort for the gamers to click on the download button. If not, you have to improve actually your application page. Well, I hope it is clear now. Well, there is another question. What do you mean to apply for feature on the platforms? It depends on your relationship with the platforms, and it is easier for the big publishers, but it's also easy for the indies, because many platforms support indies. What do we do is we try to market the game. So as a publisher, you actually access what the platform. You say that I have such a game. This is the date that we will give it out. So this is the thing that I'm going to market. This is my plan. Well, this is how you make your application. Together with that, editorials of the platforms. Yes, there are such things that you have to follow. Well, these are called, well, today's game, or seasonal games, games for summer, for example, or platformer iCat games list. Well, maybe you have seen them all on the store. So it is really important to advance your game. Yes, big publishers have great relationship. But indies are being supported as well. When you upload your game into the platform, you have to as well enter some certain information, and accordingly, if your game is selected, it can be featured. So the process actually works a little different, but I'm not sure if my answer is beneficial enough. However, if your game is different, if it is interesting, even if it is good for the editorial content, you can actually really advance it and polish it on the stores. Well, I do not see any other further question. Of course, our participants, attendees, can actually make your questions. Okay, let me continue.
So we can continue on with our conversation. Marketability. I mean, does my target audience want to play with the game that I develop? Is my game or as vision liked? My visuals, are they liked also? So based on the level of your game, you check whether the content of your game is compatible with your target audience, which is, if you want to develop your target audience, if you want to enhance them, so you can measure the likability of your games. And there are many things that you can test also in terms of marketability, and 3 are indicated on the screen as you see. So what do we do in the first 2 stages? We first of all evaluate the potential of the new game ideas, and in order to decide on the idea of the game, we test it. And then during pre-production, production, soft launch, and marketing, as I said. So the marketability of your game, you can take steps in order to optimize it, which is the marketability test, marketing them, optimizing them. They can be divided into 2. There are different stages to the marketability assessment. In the first stage, I mean, when it comes to concepting and prototyping, the new ideas about the game, if you've got a live game, for instance, you can benchmark it and in order to measure the performance of it. And for the same game, you can compare different themes. For instance, if you've got a game about space, a space concept, and if you've done a research and within the same game type genre, there is also a submarine, for instance. There are a few games which are prominent in submarine concept, and they are interesting, and you see that their performance is high, they are ranking high. So for your games, you can consider different themes, and you can evaluate this by benchmarking your concept, your theme with the other themes. This goes the same for value proposition. And the same value proposition, the same benefit, for instance, the mods in your game, you can test it and compare it for different target groups. When it comes to optimization, well, you kind of clarify everything by the time you optimize it. However, supposing that your game does not perform as the way you want it, during your marketing activities, for instance, talking about the visuals, you can find a different visuality for your game. It could be used for optimization. And for your target group, you can create a new idea, a new message, try different modes in the game. And for the application screen, for instance, you can have like icon tests or screenshots. The promotional visuals can be tested. And your game you can check how your community reacts to your game. So please do not forget these 4 articles are important. In order for your test to be meaningful, please make sure that you test it from a few angles your game. I mean, you should definitely have a hypothesis, your discount and failure criteria, you should be defining them, and based on the outcome of this criteria, what steps will you be taking accordingly? You have to define all those, and based on your target audience, the marketability of your game, optimizing it is of great importance. You should always consider your target game. Your gamers should always be your focal point. And in order to understand what is why at the end of these tests, because you will have a quantitative result. However, sometimes when it comes to explaining why, the quantitative data may have difficulty in explaining, so you should also benefit from qualitative research methods. And I will be talking you through those qualitative data as methods as well. But at the end of all these tests, you could be providing a questionnaire, for instance, for your gamers, and you could ask why they have clicked on that advertisement, for instance, banner, why they wanted to download your game, what did they like about the visuality of your game, how was it like, was it entertaining, the visualities, were they colorful, so in and so forth. And also, that questionnaire, you could also add the value proposition of your game, and you could ask your respondents to grade it, score it. The more you test, the more you run surveys, the more you collect insights, the better you would understand. I mean, for instance, if there is a problem, you would better understand what that problem is and try to improve it. Or else, something might be really good about your game, so that you would like to capitalize on later with your future work. And now I would like to talk about market research. Market research actually helps us to carry our game to a better level. Is this a right game, a right idea to develop the game? For instance, do people want to play this game? Is this idea entertaining? These are the questions that we sought for the answers of when we do a market research. You see different market research methods on the screen. On the things that you see on the left side are mostly the methods that we use during concept development and prototyping. And on the right side, mostly after post-production methods are used. You can do a motivational workshop. What does that mean? You can come together with your team, and then you could say that, okay, we are developing this game and we've got these modes in our game. We've got these characters. This is our story. However, all these items inside this game, within this game, how do they motivate the gamer? For instance, within your game, you may have like plenty of items and characters that could be collected. So this could like trigger the collection motivation, and this could be one of the motivations of your target group. So in order to deepen it or else improve it, what can you do? What else, what other feature can you add to your game in order to enhance that? This part is really deep. However, I just want you to see a couple of things, the methods, the research method. If you've got any questions, we can go through them. Thank you very much for listening to me. If we do a Q&A, I think that it will be better. Let me just stop screen share. Okay, we have received a question now. in order for this prototype to switch to soft launch, what should be taken into account? Well, for this, the prototype goes through different stages, and for each stage, there are different KPIs that we define. I cannot clearly answer this question on behalf of my company, but what I can say is that the game idea, we define how it should be positioned in the market. The first thing that we expect is the magnitude of the market enough for us? Can we enter into that market? Can we penetrate in that market? Is that market a new one, or else is it a well-established market? What are the opportunities for us? And also our target audience. What is the magnitude of our target audience? Do we have enough target audience? From other grants, are there any people that we can add to our target audience? These are the questions that we focus on, and we test it during the concept development and prototyping. A game is developed, and then we test it. I mean, the core, is it entertaining enough? Marketability test, the results there that we achieve, the conversion rates, are they high? Is the likability of our target audience high? Is it? And also, based on the questionnaire results, what kind of insights have we collected? Everything is positive for us. As I said, in the marketability test, we definitely have a hypothesis, and for each game, that is different. If your hypothesis has been proven, and if it achieves your success criteria, then we go to the next stage. If not, we go back and we do necessary improvements. When it comes to concept development and prototyping, we do a small market test. And in that market test, again, we take into account marketability KPIs and also the retention. If the KPIs if it is compatible with our success criteria, then we go to the next stage. And so all the processes that I have talked about, there are certain hypotheses that we expect to deliver on, and we do test our game against these hypotheses. If our game is successful, then we go to the next level. If not, we go back, we do the necessary iterations, and then we again test it, and then we go to the next stage. But market tests in general, we have a look at retention, and during the production stage, different metrics come into the scene. And if during production, the success criteria that we define, if we are meeting them, then we go to soft launch. However, if those criteria have not been met successfully, then that game does not go for the next stage. Well, as I said, I cannot say that we clearly expect this and that, but more or less, roughly to speak, these are the stages of game development. I hope that it was explanatory. If there are any further questions, I can talk you through more in detail. Okay, thank you so very much for the answers. I guess there are no further questions. Yes. So if you like, we can just end this session now. Thank you very much for your attendance. I thank you indeed. Chris Jobs is going to be with us at 1 o'clock. Thank you so very much to all of you. Hope to see you at 1 o'clock.